welcome to another episode of The Man Space. My co host Kunle and I take great joy and absolute delight in talking to different men from different walks of life every week to bring to you the journey men are taking, the challenges men are facing, and our goal of creating a safe place and a space for men to come talk, feel what they feel, be okay to feel, and take this journey in a supported way in a world that doesn't give that place and space for men. Being masculine is denying that opportunity. And that is what we are trying to say doesn't have to be. Kunle and I take great honor in reminding everybody and modeling the fact that we are all men and women. We're all feeling creatures as humans who happen to think and act. And we have to start with that place and space to feel and be okay to feel. So,
Right.
Coach Kunle, as we get started, today we're going to do this a little differently. Do you want to share with our audience what we are going to do today?
Absolutely, Dr. Kas. Today's discussion is definitely going to center around the man's space, and we are going to talk about why we are doing this, how we're doing it, and what's still in need for people who are listening. And I mean, we're not having a guest today. We are going to create a holistic discussion around why and then what is need for people. And I know that there are a lot of takeaways for so many people about the man space. And most importantly, it's like a milestone for us today when we look at how we started at the beginning of the year, and then we are like halfway in terms of our recording. So for us, it's a huge milestone. Doing this with several guests, bringing them to your space, but creating holistic discussion and making people become so, I mean, vulnerable, showing their vulnerability and showing their emotions and still empowering people as well through the man's space. So a wonderful, insightful, and amazing discussion that we are going to have. So let's just stick around and then hit the ground.
Thank you. So I know, Kunle, you were absolutely open-minded and a willing partner in creating this man space. You and I have been friends long before, and unlike friendship, a girl from Sri Lanka and a boy from Nigeria meeting in the online space and doing something good, and in the process actually discovering ourselves and figuring out how we can give something better to the world. How do you feel about this journey we've taken? And what about this journey keeps you excited?
Wow. Thank you so much, Dr. Kaz. And I'm going to start with what struck me the most about the man's space. And it's the fact that the bedrock of the conversation is created by you, um, of a very different gender, and you are doing this for the men. And that is so striking to me in the sense that, there is that kind of divide that we are, I mean, of people are creating in our world, forgetting the fact that the different form or different shape, the different sizes that we have, they are just the way nature expresses itself and showing the beauty. So there is absolutely no division, and there is absolutely no difference when it comes to us. So you creating this platform to talk about the issues that are salient to men is absolutely, it's laudable. It's something that we should applaud, and they're highly commendable. I'm running out of words to really describe the feelings and how well we should celebrate what you're doing. And so far, so good. it's been so welcoming to all men. When men see that, yeah, it's a partnership between you and myself, that we are creating that conversation, and it gives them that kind of soft landing. It makes it much more receptive to them, for them to really open up and talk. Because most men, they feel the women counterparts should not even know about their emotions, but they have that, that hole in their mind. So they feel that, that safe space or safe haven whenever a woman now take that courage to ask them, how are you doing, how are you feeling, and they can now reveal whatever that is underneath that they are covering. So it's been a good way of doing things that you have started, and so far it has been so productive, because we are seeing the results, from the men who have graced this particular platform. That's it, Dr. Cass.
I'm so glad to hear that, Kunle. And for me, as a woman, I've raised two brothers. I work in a man's world because I'm in international finance. So I'm surrounded by men. Obviously, I'm married to a man, 27 years. And I honestly don't see how we are different, other than the fact that we're psychologically and physiologically wired a little different. But to me, we're two sides of the same coin, right? So if one side of the coin is not strong enough, then the other side of the coin cannot function. And for a good, successful life of a woman, there needs to be a support structure of good, successful, well-heeled men, right? So to me, they go hand in hand. And I am so grateful that I have a co-host, a partner, a brother in you, that we get to do this. There is a judgment-free space. And when people see us together, it gives them the opportunity to just show up knowing that they're not going to be judged. So for me, the power comes in having you here, the way you show up, the way you hold space for me, and the way you normalize the fact that, yes, we may look different, we may come from different parts of the world, but we can come at it as humans who care, who truly have the capacity to love. And so thank you. Thank you so much for jumping on with both feet with an open heart to take this journey with me. I am so grateful.
Always a pleasure, Dr. Cass, always a pleasure. And I think what we are doing, it's transgenerational, because conversations such as this will go a long way in shaping the mindset of a lot of people. And at the time, we might not see the enormity and then the greatness of what we are doing, because in bits and pieces, we are deconstructing some of the constructs that had been in the mindset of so many men in our society, that had created a lot of toxicity, in them, and it's somehow affecting the society as a whole. So the time has come to disabuse their mind. And I think maybe when I drop the mic, you might talk about the gap you saw and the need, because I believe the need is a gap from what is currently in operation and what it should be. So there is a gap when it comes to men showing up and then becoming real. There are a lot of men who are living in that facade. They are living in denial of their true selves, because the world has somehow conditioned them, either consciously or unconsciously, to be who they are not supposed to be. And it is killing them more than doing them any good at all. Dr. Cass.
I totally agree, Coach Conley. The need I saw is all around the world. There are so many programs, places, and spaces to empower women, so that women have the ability to embrace the masculine energy they embody. As humans, there is masculine energy and feminine energy inside each of us. The masculine energy is setting goals, going after the goals, accomplishing, driving results, right? The feminine energy is feeling, nurturing, being kind and supportive and building something that is self-sustaining. One without the other doesn't exist. And for some reason, most of the world, and I believe it's a Western influence through a colonial transformation of the world, we put that masculine definition of how the world should be. So feminine, women have to only show up in their femininity and men have to show up in their masculinity. So it's not just the toxic masculinity we've created a toxic femininity, right?
Yeah.
And
True.
I have watched mothers in the West, even in the East actually, raise daughters differently than they raise the sons. Nothing the son does is ever wrong, and nothing the daughter does is ever right. And the boy can do whatever he wants because he's a boy, but then he can't cry. He can't show feelings. He has to be strong. And strength is defined as physical might and not the emotional courage, right? So, as
Yeah.
much as we are empowering women to find a place for their masculine energy, I want to make sure we're balancing that with valuing their femininity. Feminine without the femininity
Mm.
is a woman in toxic masculinity, right? So, the
Yeah.
same way when I look at men, I feel mothers raise sons. Everything
Mm.
starts with the mother,
True.
right? How do we empower mothers to make sure they're raising sons to be kind and compassionate and mindful and emotionally intelligent?
Mm.
Because the emotional courage and resiliency is the true strength. I always look at it in terms of an oak tree will fall down in a storm, but the grass doesn't. Why? Because the grass bends, right?
Mm.
Grass
Yeah.
is perennial. Nothing that happens in the environment, no matter how catastrophic it is, the grass survives, the tree
Yeah.
doesn't. And if we define strength as being strong as a tree, we're raising boys to break when they become men. And when they don't know how to
Mm.
deal with emotions and don't know to manage emotion, and the only thing that has been glorified is physicality, then they react with physicality. Abuse is not about anything other than a man's cry for help because he doesn't know how to deal with it, right?
Mm.
So
True.
looking at all of this, I felt like there needs to be a place to have this conversation and make it normal for men to feel and make it normal for women to start understanding how do I facilitate and support men to feel, not just in our raising of our sons, but in our workplace. We can't
Mm.
get mad at men when they don't understand how to deal with us because they've never been given the opportunity to. So instead of getting mad and accusing them or suing them, what if we take a step back and find out what's going on in
Mm.
reality and how do we help them pivot? So it's still a nurturing, supporting process, but in a caring,
Mm.
compassionate way instead of, oh, you're going to hit me, I'm going to hit you first.
Mm. Mm. Absolutely, Dr. Cass. And you just hit the nail on the head there. And it's a whole lot and it's a process. And to be part of this by we are, rebuilding the society, and we're starting with the mind of the people. And to be specific about this particular show or the podcast, to deal with some of those battles our men are facing. I mean, because it's a whole lot for them. Some of them have been affected badly in their workspace because emotion is totally taken away from them. And you see some of them leading without kindness. And when we talk about kindness, it's not only what you show to other people, it's also what you show to yourself. As a matter of fact, it starts with yourself. I mean, there is a concept I call the tripod of kindness. It starts with you. You have to be kind to yourself. You have to be kind to others. And you have to be kind always. And that comes with you becoming self-aware, recognizing what is really, I mean, what are the emotions playing at the background, and you acknowledging them. And we have a whole lot of men who don't really, who are living in self-denial. So, and we want them to perform either in their workspace or perform in a relationship, be it a marital relationship or even friendship. So it has really eaten deep in the society. And a lot of men have become a victim of whatever construct we have created, and that become a monster. And so that monster had been fed and had grown, and we are becoming victim of that same monster. So what the man's space is all about is to see how we reduce all of these things and disabuse the mind of so many men as much as possible who will come across the podcast. And that's why it's important that people will share this. Our guests have been so, insightful, and they are thought leaders who are also vulnerable about their own, personal lifestyle. So they show people what they have been through, and that is like a reminder to anyone who is going through similar thing that, yeah, for someone who is like this, who is as high as this, maybe in the corporate sector or as an entrepreneur, and he is bold enough to come to a space as this to share his own experience without any fear of being judged. That means wherever you find yourself in your society, in whatever forum, you can also open up. And then another thing it also gives people is that reception of help, because help is available. It's also important our men also should be willing to receive help as well. And it's also very important. And these are some of the benefits that I feel the show is giving to people. And I must say again that bringing this show up is one of the best things that has ever happened to me. And that's what is fueling the energy. And then we are doing it back to back, week in, week out, time after time. Sometimes we've got to do it a couple of times in a week to get it to the people out there. And the results that we and the feedback that we are getting are really fueling our passion. And then we still got to do more. Dr. Kas.
Absolutely, Kunle. Absolutely. And the fact that we get to do it together brings joy to me. The more I do this program with you, the more we are getting to know each other. We are building closer relationships. And the unintended consequences is we started as friends and we've become brother and sister, right? You're my baby brother. I'm much older, right? So
Yes.
this bond that we are forming as we are enabling and ennobling other men, to me, is empowering for us too. We're not just giving, we are receiving. And that's what you're talking about, right? Kindness and compassion and giving. All of it only enhances when we start from inside and give it outside. And I would be remiss if I don't bring up the book you just launched, Mental
Mm,
Hygiene, and the importance of investing in our mental hygiene the same way we invest in our physical hygiene. And men do this more diligently, right? They take care of their bodies, they work out, they do what they need to do because it's part of being masculine in that physical strength.
mm.
What are you seeing as a result of launching the book? And what do you want to see more of in terms of the mental hygiene for men, in terms of keeping them mentally and emotionally strong as well?
Mm. Thank you so much, Dr. Kaz, for mentioning that, because the book means a lot to me because it's a game changer. And I've been getting a lot of great feedbacks from people who have, gotten a copy of the book. They have read it, and it's really, really amazing what the feedback is, because it's a self-help book. But it stems from the fact that I noticed that most people place a lot of emphasis on environmental and physical hygiene at the expense of mental hygiene. And, I used to say a lot of men want, just like you mentioned, want to build six packs. You hit the gym and you build the abs, you build your biceps and all the rest. Those are very good stuff. They are very good things to do. But if you do that at the expense of your mental park, that will end up becoming no parks at all. Because if anything happens to you, you are going to fall like a pack of cards. So it's so important then that people now take that cognizance of their mental hygiene. What are the things you do to help yourself build that mental resiliency? The first thing is for you to even be aware of all those things that will help promote and maintain good mental health. What are the practices? What are the habits? What are the daily routines? I mean, in my word, I used to say that you cannot divorce your result from your routines. You cannot divorce your result from your rituals. What are the things people should do constantly on a daily basis? Just as you hit the gym or you hit the road to run, to walk, or to ride bicycle to build your physical health, how do you translate that into also your mental health? How do you translate that into your occupational health? These are the things that will help people. And these are the things I noticed and I felt, yeah, let me put this together for people. And then the feedback I've been getting have been so amazing. And the little things in terms of basic things that people can do, they are massive. I love teaching basic things that generate massive result. Things such as gratitude, such as mindfulness, such as conscious breathing, such as emotional regulation. These are the things that I really put in right in the book that will help people. And they are not things that you need to go buy somewhere. They are things that are in abundance within you that you need just to dig deep and then be intentional about putting them into practice to scale up your mental awareness. That's what the book is about, Dr. Cass.
I love the book. I love the message of the book. I love the messenger of the book, which is you. I also believe as we are approaching the holiday season, because September is over, we're going into October, families are thinking about what to get gifts. There is no better gift than a copy of this book for the men in your lives, whether it's your son, your friends, your nephews, your uncles, your father, your husband. Why not get a copy for the women too? Because women need to know this as well, and they need to know how to support their men just as much as the women's empowerment movement needs male allies. The male empowerment movement, yes, I am using the word male empowerment. It is not a bad thing. We need to empower our men to feel, talk about their feelings, manage their feelings, and become emotionally intelligent so that they can be the best version of themselves in all aspects of life, right? So as we focus on male empowerment, how do women show up in an empowering way to support all the men in their lives, including their teammates, their co-workers, and women bosses? You have a responsibility to empower the men who work for you as well. So how do we create this ecosystem? Let's start by reading. Read the book, Mental Hygiene by Coach Kunle, and then start talking about it, start normalizing it. So as we bring this amazing conversation to a close, one, I am so glad we had this opportunity to celebrate our crossing of the halfway mark and celebrate each other and talk about how we see this moving forward. What closing thoughts do you have, Kunle? I'm going to let you close it out with your final thoughts.
Thank you so much, Dr. Kaz. And I'm going to speak directly to all the men out there. And I want them to understand that they are doing well, they're doing good. But the best they can give themselves is to look after their mental health that has been swept under the carpet. And I know we care a lot about so many things that I call the tip of our health iceberg, which is the physical health, which comprises of diet and exercise. All of those things are good. They're very important. As a matter of fact, they have a way of influencing your mental health. But there are a lot of things that have been swept under the carpet that people don't want to talk about. People don't want to talk about mental health. People don't want to talk about suicide. We have a lot of people who go to take their lives as a result of stress and anxiety and all of those things. And we experience all of these things and we shut our mouths because we feel if we talk about them, the society will frown at us. The time has come to normalize talking about issues concerning your mental health because it is good for you to stay mentally healthy. And one of the ways through which you can do that is to open up and create conversations, healthy conversations about mental health.